We've been going through some very rough times in the last several months, if not 2 years. It's sort of like a storm that comes upon you, and out of the blue, there's suddenly dark clouds, a funnel comes, and wow, we're into it. And so with that in mind, my mind, I guess along with a lot of other people's, goes to how do you cope with this? What do we do? So my thought is this morning or this afternoon, wherever you're watching this, living through your storms. When something comes and it's beyond your strength, your understanding, your control, and it could be any kind of a thing, but it disturbs you, it's frightening. We've got to cope with it somehow. We've got to live through it. So I want to talk about getting ready for a storm because they are going to come. It's not easy to handle them. I remember once on a trip I took from Ontario coming to Nova Scotia. It was the only time I'd ever seen my TV screen light up with red and big letters saying tornado warning. That was early morning. The car was packed. We were ready to go. And for the first time in my life, there's a threat of a tornado. And I'm thinking, do I want to leave my home? And if it hits while I'm gone, what will be left? Of course, if I stay, it's not going to help either. So we drove off. And the wind and the clouds and the rain, we went through it for 2 or 3, 4 hours. We had the radio on. And as we cut across Algonquin Park, we got more and more reports of a tornado touchdown in Pembroke to the north of us. We were heading for Ottawa. There was a threat that there would be a tornado any minute. And Montreal also had a touchdown. So before we ever got to Ottawa, we came to the little town of Arnprior and decided we'd spend the night there. We took shelter in a motel, but yet very aware that all around us it was stormy. What do you do when you're on the highway of life? And all of a sudden the warning comes. Danger. It's bad. There's a threatening storm. Psalm 55, verses 4 to 8, is a passage that makes me think along this line. The psalmist says, "My heart is in anguish within me, and the terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fear and trembling come upon me, and horror has overwhelmed me. I said, oh, that I had wings like a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. Behold, I would wander far away. I would lodge in the wilderness. I would hasten to my place of refuge from the stormy wind and tempest." This is written by David when his son Absalom led a revolt against him. It had to be horrifying for David. It was not just simply that the kingdom was in chaos, a revolution was taking place, the people had betrayed him. It was his son. The home was disrupted. And David, out of the anguish, the torment of his heart, penned this particular psalm. And you can sense as he says these words, he wants to run. He wants to find a place of shelter. He wants to hide. And if only he could find where to go. He needs a refuge. He's in anguish. When a storm hits, it creates a lot of anxieties. When I was driving, looking out the windows, looking for any funnel cloud, I was worried. What do I do on a highway if suddenly ahead of you, you see a funnel cloud and you look behind, it's all rain, you don't know what way to go, and you actually don't have many options. Now, I'm not talking about life with real storms, although that can be part of it. But there are all kinds of things that are storms. Physical illness, social stress, family tensions, economic chaos. Did you see recently how our rates are going up? We're paying more for groceries, we're paying more for cars and more for gas. The index is going up on everything, and that creates mental stress, spiritual struggles. We're in some storms. And I don't know what your particular one is, but in the midst of all these kinds of things in which we live now, there are probably 1 or 2 of these that are in particularly focused upon you. And I bet you would like to run to the wilderness. You'd like to find some place where it's hot, dry, and dusty, where you could just kind of sit it out and wait for it to go. And that's not all bad if you've got a place to go. Meantime, there's horror, if not terror. There's fear and trembling, anxiety. And I find that when I'm in the midst of a storm that I can't control, time seems to slow down. It drags. Like you want to get it over with fast, but it doesn't go. And the darkness seems to deepen. Fear climbs. Things threaten you. If you hear a sound, you jump. Panic looms. And we begin to see danger even when it's not there. It's a frightening thing to get stuck in the middle of a storm. Driving up along the St. Lawrence once, it was a similar kind of thing. No tornadoes, but I'm not altogether sure that the weather was right on that one, because all of a sudden the rain came down, the clouds were looming, and the 4-lane highway stopped. Everything was bumper to bumper, and we all sat, and I watched the rain going horizontally across the road. That was different, and it made me wonder if I was on the edge of a tornado. And there's no place you can go. You're just stuck sitting right there. So my point this morning, or this afternoon, or wherever you're at the moment, whether it's still with COVID or if we're into another issue, when a storm hits you, how do you handle it? And the first thing I want to say, and maybe the only thing I want to emphasize in this particular devotional with you, is simply get ready. Get ready in your mind, in your spirit, and in any other way necessary. Prepare for what's coming. And that means that we've got to, first of all, understand storms do come. You're not going to miss them. They're not going to miss you. You're going to sooner or later get in the midst of a storm, and you're going to have a lot of close calls as well. When we look at the physical weather around us, we tend to go to the TV at night and turn on the Weather Channel. We want to get their analysis of what could possibly hit. How windy will it get? What way will the wind come? How much rain might fall or snow? How long will it last? From what direction is it coming? Are there breaks in it, or is it going to be steady? All kinds of questions we have. May I say that spiritually, emotionally, mentally, working our way through the storms of life, it's probably wise to get ready. Start to look at life with understanding. Start to analyze what God is doing in your life. Sometimes He permits the storms for our good. You can almost count on certain things happening. If you've got a weak spot in your spiritual life, it might be that only a storm drives you to the refuge you need to go to. So God may actually give you some warnings of certain things that are coming. Study the traits of what you're going through. Plot its course. What could this do to me? How could I react to this? What's my, for instance, mental state as I think of COVID-19? How fearful am I becoming? Why? How much can I really trust God in this? How come not more? How long has this been going, and how much longer might it go? What could it do to me if I don't cope with this better? What's it doing to our family? What's it doing to my emotions? We need to get ready and strengthen the weak areas of our life, gather our resources together, prepare our defenses, and also repair any damages that come. It can be rough. The tendency is to not get ready because we're so busy looking for a way to run. Or we react with rashness. We jump this way, that way, and all of a sudden we're panicking, and fear takes over. Once fear takes over, it's not long we get angry and maybe even bitter with God and blame Him. Rather than trying to run from a storm or fight against it to put it down or away from us, we need to prepare to go through it. That's the wisest course. Get ready so that no matter what comes, you're ready. You think about it, you plan for it, you steady your soul. You seek God. You build your spiritual resources. In other words, prepare a refuge. Ride it out so that after it's gone, and a storm will pass, and when it's gone, repair the damage, get ready for the next one. Enjoy life, but at the same time, be prepared to endure some aspects of it. I read a book recently of a personal friend. When he was just a very young boy, 3 or 4 years of age. His family fled from Poland as the Russian army was coming in and the Nazis were retreating. On one side was war and on the other side was war. His family was caught in the middle and they fled for their lives. In his book, He sums up all the things they went through over the next several years as they immigrated eventually to Canada. And he made this statement because he is a Christian and he found that God was leading. They were Christians when they fled. He says, inner peace is not absence of conflict. It's the presence of God's wholeness. Conflict is all around us. Don't let it get inside you. Have inner peace, and it's not found by looking at the conflict and weighing it out and figuring out how to either run from it or fight it. It's rather in having God inside us in all his wholeness, with all his love and all his strength and power, holding us steady. So, whatever kind of a storm hits, you're going to have to live through it, and you can. Get ready and let God prepare you.